One of the earliest videos on this channel is about a book I wrote when I was in elementary school. I don't remember what I said in that video. I tried to rewatch it earlier this week, but because it's super old, I hate it and I couldn't get through even the first 10 seconds. It's been 6 years since becoming Davy Jones was top 3 achievements of my life when I was 12 years old. It was about this mischievous did I say the word mischievous? It was about a bird who fell into a nuclear reactor, and because child me didn't understand what a nuclear power plant actually did, when he fell in, it was just a toxic pile of sludge. He mutates and emerges as an anthropomorphic Birdman. He then is captured by 2 middle school twins, and then they all become friends, and then they hide the Birdman away from the people who are looking for him, the British government. I don't remember how or why. All I know is that I put my heart and soul into this book. It meant so much to me. In fact, the only reason it was as short as it was is that I'm pretty sure for the assignment I was doing it for, I was only allowed to make it like 30 pages max or something like that. I thought it was going to be a novel and was going to be like the main thing I was known for. I was wrong. It was a class assignment, but we entered it into a county-wide writing competition, and I won 3rd place. Needless to say, I love writing. I don't do it as much anymore except for writing the scripts to these videos, but I will always have respect for the craft and for people who put in the time to get better at this art. That is not what we'll be discussing today.
Touch us, and my dad puts your whole family in the East River by Sunday.
Help! He attacked me! Damon Moretti! There will be no homemade meat demonstration today as punishment.
You can't just take people. This is kidnapping. There are laws.
I think Sammy Cohen described it best when she said,
essentially, if soap operas and TikTok had a baby, fed it Red Bull, and gave it a credit card, you would get a microdrama.
originating in China as Duanju, microdramas, also known as vertical dramas, are extremely popular and wildly profitable and have been on the rise over the past few years. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can you expect me to believe anything you just said when you're dressed like a timeshare salesman from 1987? Yes, but unlike what I'm about to do to a conference room full of vacationers in a Hilton hotel, I'm telling you the truth. You may have heard about them from advertisements or on your For You page or from every YouTuber ever with a pulse. The response to the new format ranges wildly, from people giving stellar 10-star reviews of different series and giving top 10 lists of their favorite shows about billionaires or dating someone you shouldn't, or secret billionaires or dating someone you shouldn't in secret, or fake dating or faking being poor while secretly dating while you're a billionaire. While others share the opinion of one man who tweeted while the AI fruit Love Island thing was popular, saying that I am fundamentally superior to anyone who watches this, which, whether you agree with him or not, is objectively one of the funniest tweets of all time. I don't want to just write something off just because I'm on the internet and this is one of the 7 government mandated opinions I'm allowed to have. There has to be something good to this. There's always 2 sides to every story. What? It's a layered situation. Frontal lobe expanded. Who wants to talk Roth IRAs? I know I do. We're gonna get to the pointing and laughing part of this video soon, but there are some interesting positives to this medium I feel like we should discuss first. Before we get into it though, I feel like I didn't properly express how popular these shows are. The main service we're going to be talking about today is called Real Short, but that is far from being the only service like this. In the App Store's rankings for top free entertainment apps, out of the top 20, 7 of them are vertical drama apps. There's Real Short, Story Reel, Drama Wave, Net Short, Pine Drama, Vibe Short, and Drama Box. And really, it's more of a top 15 because some apps in that top 20 shouldn't even be there, like the Netflix Game Controller, Free Cash, and was it Paramount Plus? That's not real. Last year in China, the revenue produced from microdramas outpaced the revenue of the box office for real movies. By some estimates, China has 830 million users of these apps, 60% of which pay or transact. Obviously, there are bots and fake accounts, but roughly speaking, half of them are watching the shows and 25% of them are giving these companies money. 25% of China. But it's more than just China. Many countries are becoming obsessed with vertical dramas, including the US. Time Magazine included Crazy Maple Studio, the company behind Real Short, in its list of top 100 most influential companies of 2024, which is understandable considering that last year US generated revenue from vertical dramas reached an estimated $819 million, and that the global industry of microdramas is expected to hit $14 billion by next year. You may be wondering, how on earth are they making that much money? It's simple. If I give you a penny, and in return you give me $10,000, on my end, that is considered a profit. We'll get into how they get people to pay for it later, but one of the reasons why these things are so lucrative is because of how cheap these shows are to make.
We have made arguably one of the biggest budget.
Can you talk about what that budget is?
I would say double like a regular vertical. It's a medieval fantasy genre. On one day, we have more than 90 people on set involved, all Korean cast, and we have a real historical castle.
Are we talking between sort of under $1 million?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, but more than $500,000?
No.
That is still significant, right? If you're getting up to the top end of that.
Half of that.
The CEO of Real Short says that making an entire show costs less than $300,000. To put that into perspective, by season 10 of Friends, the show cost $10 million per episode. By video production standards, these shows cost nothing to make, which is why they are able to make dozens upon dozens of shows every year. You will never run out of things to watch because clearly the objective is quantity over quality. Despite that, people love them. Go to IMDb. A lot of these shows have great reviews, and while I personally still wouldn't watch it, I can kind of understand why. The people who come to these shows already know that these things are not Shakespeare, and that's fine. It's just an interesting distraction, and that's exactly what they want. Jen Cooper, founder of the website Vertical Drama Love, talked about this in an article from The Guardian. She talked about how many people, including herself, find vertical dramas at a time of need or just intense stress, and they want something that they can use to escape. She also talks about how through her page, she was able to cultivate a community of people who love vertical dramas. She was even able to put together like a fan awards for favorite dramas. On her YouTube channel, she sometimes does interviews with people who are involved in the production of verticals, and she did one with this screenwriter named Jenny Rosen, where she made another good point about why verticals could be appealing.
There are collective feelings that we're all dealing with every day, where when you see somebody wronged, you can immediately say, that's me. I've been there. Verticals will act out the more extreme version of things that happen to us every day. What would it be like if I could get revenge? What would it be like if I could, end up with Prince Charming? There's some part of us that still keeps that childlike wonder and mystery of like, what would it be like if that were me? Maybe I'm a cleaning lady, working at a corporate office, and for some reason the CEO notices me. We know it's not real, but that doesn't mean the magic of it doesn't feel real. These are deeply human needs, and these are deeply human experiences that verticals tap into instantly. You don't need a prestige studio. You do not need celebrity A-list actors. You need people who understand how to make somebody feel heard and seen, and that's what gets people's attention. I think that's what makes verticals very unique.
I have to agree with that. Sometimes I don't need a big budget. I just need to be able to live a fantasy. And I like watching skits of people on TikTok talking about what they really want to say to customers in retail. Like, what would be the issue of doing that, but with a higher budget than one notepad and literally no other props? So the idea of verticals filling that spot is not crazy. They just sent me another notification. Not now. That's written in the script. That'll make sense in about 5 to 7 minutes. Fun fact, I write these things out of order. A microdrama can fill the needs for emotion and story without 17 episodes of filler. For example, Tyler Perry has made approximately 700 movies and TV shows within the past decade, and 5 of them are good. He started out great, but he eventually learned that if you can make stories about black people suffering slowly, turns out the money is still green. That thing's green. Green! And I think that's part of the reason why people will watch entire shows and movies through nothing but TikTok clips. Granted, I don't love the idea of someone preferring to watch movies through clips because it, quote, skips through the boring bits. But I can't say that I do it from time to time because it's just way less commitment. I want story, I want drama, I just don't always want to spend 2 hours to get it. I keep telling myself one day I'm gonna watch House. I'm not really sure what's going on or why he's so crotchety or why there are so many I didn't know I was pregnant or you're too fat storylines, but I'll figure it out eventually. Until then, if YouTube Shorts throws me into another rabbit hole and clips start playing, I'm not gonna fight it. In addition to that, verticals actually help writers in an interesting way.
For instance, right now I'm in an animation studio. Animation takes forever. I'll write something and I won't see it done for 3 or 4 years. Feature films, Beverly Hills Chihuahua was one of the shortest turnarounds, and that still took me 3 years to see it on a screen. Maurizia and I will talk about a scene, I write the scene. A month later, I'm looking at a rough cut to 2 months later, and then it's up. It's within a 3-month period. It's so fresh. And as a writer, you're growing. You're going, that line worked. That didn't work. You're able to see stuff, whereas in feature films and television, you're like, oh yeah, I remember I wrote that a while ago.
I also agree with the idea that vertical dramas can serve as a very interesting writing exercise. Because sometimes you have an idea for a story that is not worth serious investment, but it would be nice to see it brought to life. So to think that you could come up with that idea, work on it for a little bit, but you're not married to it, you're done with it in a few weeks, and then later that year, you can see it brought to life, that does sound fun. And it would be stupid to say that the reason these shows are bad is simply because they are vertical or that they're low budget, because that would be akin to saying that all of TikTok is just bad. bad. Is there slop on TikTok? Absolutely. Am I ever gonna stop watching TikTok? No. Are you stupid? Every day there are 17 video essays uploaded about a TikTok controversy I've never heard of, nor will impact my life in any way. I will learn nothing from it, and yet I will watch each one of those videos in succession. Oh, what? Now I have standards for entertainment? And I would assume that work like this would give new writers the experience they need to then go on and write bigger and better things. Fun fact, the head writer on one of my favorite shows actually got their start working as a writer on Verticals. And actually, it's playing right now. I gotta go. Shh, my show's on. What a surprise. I come home from another night of overtime just to find you sitting there. You know, all I ask is that you work even a fraction as hard as I do every day, and what do I get? Nothing! You just sit there and your piles and stacks on a table in the corner all day as if that's helping me. Don't you look at me like that! If you want your money to work just as hard as you do, then sign up for today's sponsor, Chime, America's #1 choice for banking. With the Chime High Yield Savings Account, you can earn 3.75% APY on your money, which is way better than the national average, like 9 times better. For example, if you had 10 grand to put into savings, a Chime account versus a regular account would be the difference of $382 a year versus just $38. That's extra money just for sitting in a better place. On top of that, with the Chime card, you can get 5% cash back on a category of your choosing every month for even more extra money. So pick a category you think you spend a lot on, and now your purchases earn you money back. So for example, if you spend $1,000 on groceries every month, after a year, that is $600 back in your pocket. If you're anything like me, I'd pick dining. I spend an inexcusable amount of money on buying food out. I may as well get something back for it. Not to mention all the other features that Chime offers, like the ability to set savings goals in the app, that you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit, or the over 47,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide, and so much more. If you want your money to do more than just sit there all day, then join the millions who are already banking fee-free through Chime. So sign up for Chime using the link in my description or by scanning the QR code on screen. New users can get up to a $350 bonus with a new Chime checking account exclusively through my link. Huh. Maybe you're not so useless after all. Anyway, I'm off to do my nightly habit of driving recklessly on the highway because I have complete confidence that no one has nefariously cut my brake lines. I love driving recklessly. Oh no, it seems someone has nefariously cut my brake lines. That was the series finale? All of that is to say that it's really easy to cast judgment on these platforms and services without taking a second to acknowledge the good that it can do for the economy, for the audiences, and for creatives. All those different perspectives can really help change your viewpoint on things. And then you go to watch one of those shows, and your immediate first question is, what were any of those people talking about? I have a love-hate relationship with commentary videos. Hate it because they have all the same talking points and vocabulary and filming style and subjects of discussion and thumbnail design and title structures. Love it because despite that, I will watch a minimum of 7 commentary videos a day. I bring that up because one thing I really despise in the commentary space is that they exaggerate everything. This person is the worst human being ever. This brand needs to die today. I did not cheat on my wife. And I hate that because it's not human. There is no way you absolutely love or hate everything. There is never a middle ground. That's why in my videos, I almost never say anything with a sense of finality. There's always room for doubt. I will almost never say anything absolute about anything. With all of that in mind, objectively speaking, Real Short is one of the worst apps I have ever seen. As Redditor FunMachine3238 put it, these things are so bad because they're designed to keep you addicted and paying, not keep you entertained. That simple sentence is the business plan for this entire industry, and it is evident in almost every choice they make. I cannot overemphasize just how cookie cutter everything on these apps is. All those talk from those writers about human emotions and experiences was way too nice for what this app is. It takes the most basic tropes in writing and rinses, recycles, repeats over and over for every last drop that can wring out of it. How many shows can you possibly make about billionaires? And why do you keep using that word as if it's a normal thing? $1 billion is an absurd amount of money, and anyone with money like that would never live life in any of the ways it's depicted on these shows. This is more of a side tangent, but I really want to get this point across. I shoot videos at 30 frames per second. Okay, so let's suppose that one frame cost $1 million. So if I went silent for 3 frames, boom, that was $3 million. Okay, let's compare that to $1 billion. You ready? That was 33 seconds. Fun fact, if $1 million is a frame, $1 trillion is 9 hours of silence, but that is a topic for a different video. Obviously, that doesn't mean every single one of these is completely terrible. Issa Rae actually produced her own vertical drama for TikTok's Pine Drama app. I mean, just from the first episode, it looks better than a regular microdrama. The acting is better, the writing has a lot more thought put into it, and it was able to cause a decent amount of discourse both on and off the app. However, for every one of these shows, there are literally 100 shows about a girl dating her ex-boyfriend's uncle who's a mafia boss, written by AI. Something I find so funny about these is that the budget is so low and the acting is so bad that sometimes you can't tell that something was supposed to be a joke or sarcastic. What did they do to her? Oh, they covered her with red paint as a prank in the show. But what sucks is that most clips you see, like the ones I've shown you, will always be from the first few episodes of the show. Those are the clips where they're setting up the plot points for the show. They are putting their best foot forward.
This is not negotiable to us that to make the first no matter if the first 8 free episodes or the first 10, make it as extravagant as possible. Spend the most resource on those episodes. The best location, we spend more time polishing the acting. They spend the first 10 episodes really like trying to snatch people's attention and make people hooked.
So you mean to tell me it's just all downhill from here?
It's not really about the quality, the cast, the story. It's really about how effective you are to grasp the audience within that second.
It almost goes right into the crux of the story, wherever the drama is. It doesn't require any effort on the part of the user to just jump in and start to watch.
When asked why some of the writing on some of these shows is so bad, it sounds like they were written by AI. The CEO of Real Short said, in part, they want it to be understandable to everyone, even people without higher education. To that, I say, if a person is so incapable of understanding the plot of a movie, so much so that this is the solution, would it be in bad taste to suggest that maybe movies isn't the hobby for them? I'm not saying that, I'm just asking. There is this YouTuber I found called The Book Leo, and she made a fantastic video about something related to this. It's more like the book and author equivalent of vertical streaming. And she made a good point when she was talking about a service called Inkit. Inkit is a free-to-read app where anybody can publish a story, and if they deem it good enough, they will then put it on their paid premium app called Galatea, and if it does good enough there, they will then turn it into a microdrama on a different app that they own called Candy Jar. And despite what you may assume from that process, it's not the story that they care about.
And if you go to their LinkedIn, they're all like, leveraging AI and predictive algorithms, Inkit discovers unknown stories and turns them into blockbuster hits. By examining reader engagement and behavioral data, the publisher has been able to establish a particular impressive track record of identifying future bestsellers. Inkit has really nice graphs where even the writers themselves can see exactly where readers stop binge reading, which chapters they get stuck on. So this is not just about adapting the most popular stories, the stories that get the most views. Like, this is very specifically about using data science to analyze which stories have the highest reader retention, making sure they keep reading and keep paying. I would say this is not about writing good stories at all. This is just about writing whatever story can grab someone's attention the most.
It's all hollow. It's designed to be as cookie cutter and as optimized as it can possibly be. And it's not just the writing. The look of the show has to be as appealing to the target demographic as possible, even if that means being borderline racist.
Is there anything in particular you're looking for the type of talent that you cast in microdramas?
They are looking for a specific kind of look.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the look?
Okay, I'm gonna put it really straightforward.
Yeah.
I would say they're looking for Barbie and Ken. The lack of diversity is incredibly horrible.
Okay, so all of that was the first problem. When you download Real Short, all the shows are free to watch. At first. You usually get the first 8 to 10 episodes for free, and then after that, if you want to keep watching more episodes, you either have to watch an ad or you can pay for it. And these shows are like 60 to 80 episodes long. I'm not watching a 45-second gambling ad for each one of them. So if you choose to pay for it, you have a list of options. There's the exorbitantly expensive way, the super confusing way, then that's the end of that list. You can pay for a subscription like any other streaming service. It's $20. You know, that's a bit much for a month, but I mean, I get... Does that say per week? So you think that's too expensive, and also you don't want to be like the dozens of people on Trustpilot who say that the subscription is very confusing and hard to cancel, and you really only want to watch this one show and then you're going to delete the app. Well, you have the option to pay per episode using coins. Like a mobile game designed to allow children to spend thousands of dollars of their parents' money because they don't understand the concept of currency yet. Real Short doesn't allow you to pay per episode with actual money. Instead, you have to pay for coins and then use the coins to pay for the episode. I mentioned mobile games not just as a one-off joke, but because you have to assume that is the reason why they're doing this. First off, because the company that makes Real Short also makes bad mobile games, but also because I have to assume to Real Short, the ideal user will do the following. You watch the first 10 episodes of a show for free and now you're hooked. You want to see what happens next, but for every episode after that, you have to watch an ad. But even if you're cool with that, they only let you watch 5 ads a day. I can't do that. I need to know if the billionaire ninja doctor is able to save his alien girlfriend after she was attacked by the clan of the Zhongwen Nidong. But I don't have the 60 coins I need to watch every episode. Okay, maybe we can look into getting a couple. There is no way I'm spending more than $10 on that. What kind of greed is that? Hey, if I spend $10, I get 1,100 coins, but if I spend just $5, I get 1,000 coins. That's a suspiciously good deal. Also, neither of these numbers are evenly divisible by 60, but I'm sure that's not going to come up later. So you get your 1,000 coins, you watch the next 18 episodes, you're left off on a cliffhanger because no matter where it is you started or stopped, every episode ends with a cliffhanger, and now you only have 40 coins. That's just short of 60 to get to the next episode. Oh no, it did come up later. But 40, that's basically 60. You're so close. Maybe I'll buy it just one more time, or I'll get the 2,400 coins for $20 so it doesn't happen again. Or maybe we just skip the coin system entirely and just go for the subscription. I mean, it's the smart decision when you think about it. This is the entire mobile game business plan, tricking suckers into spending way too much money because it doesn't feel like money, and also you're so close. Because why would I spend $10 a month on a streaming service? That's way too much money. I'm on a budget. I'd rather agree to spend $19 a week and then forget about it for the next 7 months. But it's worth it because I got to watch that one show about I don't remember exactly what it was called, but there was probably a billionaire in it. But when you finally come to your senses and decide to get off the app, it will use everything in its disposal to bring you back because it notifies you about everything. While using the app, you turn on notifications because, duh, if you do, you get 30 free coins. It'd be dumb not to. But when you do that, you don't understand what you just signed on to because they're like super clingy. We have some free coins for you to claim. Want to watch a show about a homeless billionaire husband and also it's Christmas? You unlocked a free episode. Yeah! Did we mention the billionaire was homeless during the holiday season? Why are you going to bed? You could be watching shorts. Okay. What if the show was about the billionaire's mom? I kid you not. While I was typing this into the script that I am reading right now, they sent me a notification. You've been replaced, First Love. Thank you so much, Real Short. I would never have wanted to miss that.
I kid you not.
While I was editing this part of the video, they sent me another notification. I'm wearing the same shirt. This is like an hour later.
They've sent me 19 notifications in 2 days. And as much as I've enjoyed having them on the top of my notifications list for the past 3 weeks, why are they all time sensitive? On Apple's developer website, it explains that there are 4 kinds of notifications. That is 3. There are 4 kinds of notifications a person can get on Apple products. There are passive notifications that don't announce themselves. They're just kind of on the list of things if you check it later. There are active notifications. Those are the regular ones. They pop up and ding if you have your ringer on. Then there are time-sensitive notifications, which, as the name suggests, are specifically designed for things that have a sense of urgency. Things like if you have a delivery on its way, or there's a security issue with an account that needs to be taken care of. And because these things are genuinely urgent, they're allowed to notify you even if you have do not disturb or focus mode on. And this is only one step below the last classification for notifications, which is critical, meant for things like Amber Alerts and tornado warnings. Why is Real Short one step below that? Again, these kind of notifications will show up even with do not disturb on, and in my personal experience, they will stay on your home screen for way longer. And you may be thinking, I don't think you should be able to send these kind of notifications for stuff that doesn't really matter. Apple agrees with you, and that's why they explicitly say on their website, never use this feature for marketing, and Real Short does it anyway. All the time. And it's not just notifications. They will take advantage of every feature they can. The thing with iPhones where anything you're doing in the background stays at the top of your phone, so does Real Short. Even if it's paused. Because why would I want the music I'm currently listening to be the main thing on my dynamic island? I closed the app hours ago. Why are you still here? You are interrupting my Faye Webster.
Also, this currently streaming box thing, I have never seen that for a non-live video. Okay, I just realized something weird that I don't know how else to show. So, you play the video, right? and then you exit the app, it automatically goes in picture-in-picture because of course this app does that. And then, but if you lock it, it stops. You open it, it just starts playing. I have never seen any other video player app ever. Okay, you open it again. It just starts. Is that not so weird?
I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but I have truly never seen an app do this. And I don't think I have had this much disdain for a service in my life. An overpriced subscription that will use every means necessary to steal your attention just to get you to watch shows where the priority is not story, it's just to get you to waste as much time as possible on the app. And yet, despite all of that, or more accurately, because of all of that, the app is mind-bogglingly successful. On the App Store alone, it has 453,000 views and an average of 4.7 out of 5 stars. And Real Short, which again is one of many services like this, is set to make $1 billion this year, up 34% from last year. And someone might reason, well, what's the difference between watching something like this and spending time on TikTok? And obviously TikTok isn't perfect, but at least it's a human experience full of human jokes and opinions and skits and creativity. In fact, TikTok's main problem is that it's consistently too good at its job and I never want to leave. But Vertical Dramas, the best way I can describe their feeling is that one episode of SpongeBob where they sold the Krusty Krab to private equity and they started making all the Krabby Patties from gray trash.
What do you say? Garbage?
I can't remember where this clip is, but there was an interview with somebody defending the existence of verticals, and one of the arguments they were making is that, well, you know, people are busy and not everybody has the time to sit down and watch a whole show, but if they have a few minutes, they can watch a microdrama, and that's not too bad. The idea that someone would have to work day and night because they can barely afford to live, meanwhile they hardly talk to anybody because we all live in our own bubble and don't communicate with each other, that they could be so busy and strapped for personal time to themselves that when they come home exhausted, they don't have the time to watch a proper show, so the best they can do is watch a couple episodes of a vertical drama, go to sleep, and then do the exact same thing tomorrow is repulsive. That's the grayest sentence I have ever heard. But it's not fair to act like this is the first time that bad television has ever been made, and that before this, all of it was great and made solely for art and not for money. Hallmark, Lifetime, and Tubi all exist. And like Verticals, Hallmark movies have a ridiculously fast turnaround time and are definitely engineered for quantity over quality. They don't even use different colors in their movie posters. These are the same people copy and pasted. And even before that, we had the original We Are Just Making This for Money TV. The original bad TV. Soap operas. They've been the way that they are for very similar reasons.
Soap operas employ something called continuous open narrative. In other words, if it feels like the show's conflicts have no clear beginning, middle, and end, it's because yeah, they don't. They're designed to continue as long as advertising deems them profitable. Narrative threads are continually hashed and rehashed. Characters die, then come back, then die again, then come back again, then get amnesia, then get their memory restored, then get blown up, but then they survive. All kinds of stuff. Why? Because these stories are meant to last forever.
I remember pre-pandemic, there was this lady in my neighborhood who was telling me that there was a soap opera she started watching when she was a teenager, and she still watches new episodes of it today. She was 70 years old. Is it easy and entertaining to critique these shows because they're terrible? Without question. There is no shortage of YouTubers reacting to every kind of microdrama you can imagine, and I completely understand why. They're absurd.
Dad, can I borrow $50,000? Mom needs kidney dialysis and we really don't have any money.
Natalie.
How shameless of you to come here and beg us for money. You're still thinking about your ex-wife?
No.
It isn't my loser sister.
We'll give you the money.
What?
If you marry Sebastian Klein in my place.
No, I'm not going.
I cannot stress this enough. I barely edited that. Okay, fine, the slap was from a different episode, but everything else, I promise you, was from minute 1 of that show. That was the first episode of one of Real Short's most popular shows, The Double Life of My Billionaire Husband. The billionaire husband being played by this guy, Jared Harper. I'm bringing him up specifically because another reason why verticals cannot be overlooked is that because they're always getting made, they're always creating opportunities for new actors to get work, and that's something that Jared has spoken about.
I had an agent. I was never available because I was super bucked out because you're working as the vertical guy. They didn't get it. You're better than this. You don't need to do this. You need to make yourself more available to us and to these other traditional, Hollywood opportunities.
So you can maybe book a one-day thing on.
So you can make right, and that's just like a maybe book thing. But right. I wasn't, and obviously I gotta make rent. In just 1 year, they were like, Jared, this isn't good for you. You gotta leave it, or we gotta part ways.
Right.
And I was like, let's part ways. I'm crushing it over here. Unless y'all got an offer, then we can talk about something. But you don't.
And the man has been booked and busy. Jared Harper has been in 5 different Real Short shows, 3 of which he plays a billionaire, 1 of which he plays a vaguely rich CEO. He's got a look to him, I guess. I don't know. And it's so interesting because this is a career path that has been looked down on for a long time, but it could be the very thing that advances somebody's career in the future.
That's kind of how the YouTubes and the TikTok was 10 years ago. So we were in a position where we were like, no, we're traditional actors. I want to be Leonardo DiCaprio. I want to be taken seriously. Still, there's still a stigma if you're a YouTube guy, but not anymore. You actually jump the line.
Right.
If you, all it is now is if you can garnish attention and if you have fans and if you have real sales and dollars behind you, you're getting opportunities before traditional actors.
So with all that in mind, are verticals kind of good then? Lexi Mindtree? She starred in a vertical drama before getting her role as Elle Woods in the Legally Blonde prequel show on Prime Video. And lots of actors starred in soap operas before they became famous, like Brad Pitt, John Stamos, Demi Moore, Bryan Cranston. And you can say what you want about Jared or his acting ability, but between his 5 Real Short shows, as of recording this, his work has almost 1 billion views. I do think it's great that it provides people a chance to work, not just actors, but directors and writers and crew members. These people get a chance to live by their craft, and whether we like it or not, this is the direction things seem to be going in. I just got a notification. DramaBox is the sponsor and industry partner of a new vertical drama production class at Cal State. And last year, Fox made a serious investment in a microdrama startup called Holy Water. So if people keep watching it, companies keep investing in it, and it keeps making jobs for creatives, is it really that bad? And how do you decide that? There is so much more to a movie than just the story. One of my favorite parts of a movie is all the discourse it's able to create and how multiple people can see the same thing and yet take away a bunch of different points. There's discussion about themes, the director's vision, performances, the look and sound of it. Don't even get me started on soundtracks. The soundtrack for The Amazing Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man music we have. And the soundtrack for Loki is wild. Purpose is Glorious is one of the most inspiring pieces of music I've ever heard. It's also fun to watch people talk and make jokes about it on TikTok, watch character analysis on YouTube, talk about it with your friends, getting to talk about which characters were dumb or which characters were underrated or weird plot holes or storylines that didn't quite add up. All of that has the side effect of being interested in the actors themselves and trying to see what other projects they've been in. And now you're starting to get into the online community of the story, of people talking about the cinematic universe or people talking about the director's prior work or other weird stories and interesting things about the production. Even if a movie is complete dung, at least you get to watch a commentary video of somebody making fun of it. That's what makes movies beautiful. You can't do that with a microdrama because it was about a good guy who did good things and a bad guy who did bad things, and the good guy won and the bad guy didn't. What's there to talk about? And yeah, I guess you still could watch a commentary video about it, but it's so much funnier when they're watching a movie made by people who are actually trying to make something good, but just utterly fail.
First and foremost, I want to thank the filmmakers, the cast and crew, everyone that put in that hard work, blood, sweat, and tears day in and day out in order to bring this film to life. It takes multiple miracles to make a movie and for it to all go right. And so this is definitely a movie that got made.
But at the same time, the argument that all verticals are the same, you could say that about all stories technically, because eventually all stories boil down to the same things.
You've watched the same story on traditional film and television a million times. You may not know it, but you have. So we always, there's only so many original ideas, and I think that the idea of recycling or revisiting something that works, it's not a problem. It's just a place where you can sort of explore creativity, I think.
Years ago, there was this comedy duo, Chris and Jack loved them. They made a great short film exploring this idea in a really interesting way.
Okay, get ready to cry. There's a reason this won the Pyrrhic Award.
Was that the whole movie?
Yeah, pretty great, huh?
But that was just a series of beeps and colors.
You want to watch another one? That freaking ending, man.
You should watch the rest of the film because it's hilarious. But the main point is that you can condense any story down to its most basic elements that have been rinsed and repeated for decades, if not centuries. And this is by no means a new thing. Like, Romeo and Juliet is cool, but the basic framework for that plot comes from, or at the very least is heavily inspired by a story that was written like 1,000 years earlier, Pyramus and Thisbe. Young lovers forbidden to get together because of a family rivalry. They fall in love, they decide to meet. One of them confuses the other for dying, and they immediately overreact. And then the girl comes to see that her love is truly gone, so she immediately overreacts. But does this mean that no stories are original? Technically, yes, but in reality, no. I saw a great explanation of this on Reddit. If I told you to show me a number using the digits 1 through 9, and then show me a different one, and then a different one, and another one, and another one. Okay, there's obviously a lot of combinations you can do. But eventually, you will run out. But even still, you can change the font, or the color, or the number system, or you can find some other way to decorate it. In all these examples, you are using the same 9 digits, and there is technically a limited number of combinations before it's just the same things over and over and over again. But because it is each unique to look at, it is a different experience of those numbers. It's technically a new thing. They're all original. So maybe it is the same stories all the time of good versus evil, a hero's journey, a tragedy, a comedy, whatever. It doesn't mean that they can't be original. In my opinion, microdramas are more like this. Yeah, sure, still same idea, I guess. You can shuffle it around, but it's way less options. And that uniqueness is what makes a show iconic, not necessarily that I had never heard a story like this before. You think I remember Austin and Ally because it had a riveting plot? No, I remember it because of Dez.
I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my friends, Austin, Trish.
Just sing the song!
And as far as I'm concerned, I have no idea what Caleb Worthy's been up to ever since then. La 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 la, not listening. But that's not something I'd ever expect to experience with a vertical series. They all seem to be executed the same way. So if it's the same ideas with the same style, that being no style, then it isn't original. And that's because it was never about originality or personality or story. It was about getting you to stare at the stupid app for as long as humanly possible, and blatantly so.
The focus of these films is not about the director's point of view at all. The CEO of Real Short was asked about the creative process, and he said something that would make every film school professor weep. He said, a lot of these directors are thinking, when I shoot the film, I don't care about how people think. This is my creation, it's my story. No, it's not your story. Your success should be determined by the people.
This isn't to say that verticals could never work. There needs to be innovation in media formats. If media never changed, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. The closest thing I'd be able to do is go to school for journalism, fake a British accent, and then start doing think pieces for the local news network, Philomena Kunk style. Am I saying there is absolutely no room for any kind of vertical media in my life? No, not necessarily. Because that feels the same as saying there's no room for TV and we should all only be watching movies, and if anything is shorter than 2 hours, then it's just lazy and it cannot be considered artistic. But I do know one thing, the current execution of vertical dramas is not the way. I just got a notification. Nietzsche once wrote, "We have art in order not to perish from the truth." Which is a quote I wrote in the script days ago, hoping that by the time I started filming, it would eventually make sense to me. I still don't get it. I didn't quite know how to write this part because every explanation I looked into as to what it is that makes art and writing so beautiful, every explanation I heard, it was kind of stupid to me. But then again, asking the question itself is kind of stupid because you don't need a reason to appreciate how beautiful and life-giving art can be. When asked if he thought that verticals would be the future of media, the CEO of Real Short said 100%. Reason being, he thinks other streamers take too long to make content, invest too much money up front, and don't have enough customer data. And you know, from a business perspective, he's probably right. And what I'm about to say is probably corny and won't change anything. But everything he's saying is focusing so much on the calculation of whether it can work or not, and says nothing to the artistry of the storytelling. I know that I'm just some dude recording in my parents' basement, and what I'm saying will have almost no effect on anything that takes place in the media industry. But isn't it cool how humans can make stories out of anything and they can personify any object? If I show you a rock, that means nothing. But if I put googly eyes on it, say its name is Raquel, and then tell you she's sad because she's had a rough day, you're now thinking, but what happened to Raquel? Is that not, like, beautiful? Like, that's so human. That's art.
When I think of culture, what do I think of? I think you visit other countries and then they show you what it is that makes them them and not you. And in almost every case you do this, you are looking at their art. You are looking at their architecture. For anyone to say, let us cut art for anything else, suppose they did that back in Renaissance Europe, What would Europe be without the support and interest in a thriving culture of art? As we readily spend money to visit these cities and go to their museums, to turn around and say, now I'm going to cut the art budget here, that makes no sense to me.
Like, even writing this video has reminded me of all the times I spent writing and brainstorming throughout my childhood. And some things I never wrote down, some things I got halfway through, some things I pretty much finished but never did anything with. It doesn't matter, I loved it. Writing is really cool. I will be deleting Real Short the second I upload this video. It feels like the digital equivalent of a shady businessman. I just want good art to be made. Art is really cool. Also, that book I made in elementary school, in that video, the whole thing was about turning it into an audiobook, and I remember I only got halfway through, and I promised in the video if it ever got 1,000 listens on SoundCloud, I would finish the recording. That offer is still on the table. It'll probably, yeah, make it happen. I'll probably do it. I'll do it.